You think you've already seen it all, that life has thrown its worst at you, that this story will end like the others, with another delay, another disappointment, another door that stays shut. But you're wrong. You are standing on the edge of a shift so deep, so intricately prepared by my hand, that if I told you now, you wouldn't believe it. You'd try to explain it away. You'd call it wishful thinking. You'd dismiss it as unrealistic hope. That's why I stayed silent until now, because what I'm about to release doesn't require your understanding. It needs your readiness. I've watched you walk through years that felt like wastelands. I saw you press forward while your soul quietly crumbled. You kept smiling when your heart was breaking. You waited without answers. You obeyed without clarity. You kept your hands open, while everything you loved slipped through your fingers. And still, you stood, weak, tired, uncertain, but standing. And because you stood, heaven is about to answer. This isn't just another season. It's not another stretch of time where you survive and hope things eventually shift. What's coming is a divine interruption, a deliberate act from my throne that will change everything. So I'm not adjusting the details. I'm replacing the foundation. I'm not rearranging the room. I'm redesigning the atmosphere. There is a weight of glory approaching, and it cannot be explained by strategy, only by my presence. And you, my child, are not here by accident. You were forged in fire for this moment. What's ahead won't reflect what you've lived. It won't match your past, your resources, or your surroundings. It will reflect me. It will carry my nature, my rhythm, my fingerprints. People will ask, how did it happen? And you won't have an answer, because it wasn't earned. It was appointed. It was written into your story before your first failure, before your first tear, before your first prayer. You mistook my silence as delay, but I was guarding you. Not from harm, but for fulfillment. No, you don't know what's coming, and that's intentional, because if you did, your fear would sabotage it, your doubt would shrink it, and your logic would try to control it. But what I'm about to release doesn't require those things. It doesn't need your strategy. It needs your surrender. I've seen you walk through seasons that buried others. You survived things no one ever knew you were carrying. You held on to promises that had no proof. You believed without results. You stayed when it would have been easier to run. That is not weakness. That is spiritual authority. You don't look like what you've been through, because I covered you. Even when you couldn't feel it, I shielded your purpose in places designed to destroy it. And now, the weight you've been carrying is becoming the strength you'll walk in. What's coming won't look like what you've left behind. That's why I let certain things fall apart. Not to punish you, but to free you. If I had let them stay, you would have stayed too. But I'm not building comfort. I'm building capacity. You've been stretched through pain, widened by loss, deepened by stillness, and that capacity is what will hold what's next. That's why it couldn't arrive before now. I wasn't waiting on circumstances to shift. I was waiting on you to become who I already saw. You are not forgotten. You are not late. You are not standing outside my plan waiting to be noticed. You are marked, you are positioned, and everything is about to collide, not by your effort, but by my authority. Doors are opening that you didn't knock on. Favor is finding you without explanation. I'm sending people, resources, clarity. It will all feel sudden, but it's not sudden to me. I've been setting this moment in motion for years. I've been aligning what's unseen while you survived what was visible. You're not just stepping into a new chapter. You're about to discover why every chapter before this one had to happen. You'll understand why I said no to what looked perfect. You'll understand why I stayed silent when you begged for answers. You'll understand why the waiting had to last as long as it did. What's coming won't just answer your prayers. It will heal the parts of you that stopped praying. It will awaken what you thought was gone for good. It will rebuild what you never had the strength to fix. So prepare your spirit, not with anxiety, but with reverence, not with striving, but surrender. Your story is about to shift under the weight of my intention. And when it happens, you will remember this moment, not as the end of your struggle, but as the beginning of your rise, because you have no idea what's coming. But I do. And I've waited for this moment far longer than you have. I know what you're feeling, even when no one else does. I see what you've been carrying behind closed doors, the silent frustration of holding on to a promise that hasn't shown up yet, the quiet ache of watching others move forward while you feel stuck, the whispering doubt that says, "What if I'm not chosen after all?" I hear every thought you try to silence. I know the fear you haven't spoken aloud. I see how often you wonder if I'm still here, still for you, still watching. Let me answer you now. Clearly, finally. I have never stopped watching. I never turned away. And yes, I am still for you. You've been walking through what feels like an empty place, but it's not empty. It's sacred. You thought you were stuck, but you were being rooted. You assumed nothing was happening because you couldn't see the results. But something has been happening inside you every single day. I've been enlarging your spirit, strengthening your sensitivity, building your endurance, separating your identity from your circumstances. That's not punishment. That's purpose. You weren't meant to grow like everyone else because you weren't called to live like everyone else. There is more inside of you than what you've seen so far. You've been judging your life by visible evidence. But I see deeper. I see your persistence in faith, even when your feelings failed. I see the quiet way you honored me, even when your heart was tired. I see how you resisted bitterness, how you fought to remain soft, how you wrestled with me in prayer, but still stayed near. Those things matter more than you know. They carry more weight in the spirit than you realize, and I've counted every single one. You've asked me what I think of you. Let me tell you now, I am not disappointed. I'm not pacing the heavens in frustration over your pace or your process. I'm not shaking my head because you haven't gotten it all right. I'm not surprised by your weakness. I saw every crack in your heart before you ever stepped into this season, and still, I chose you. I called you knowing where your strength would run out. I loved you fully aware of your fears, your flaws, your contradictions. I didn't choose you by mistake. I chose you on purpose, with purpose. And my love for you has not shifted based on your performance. This has never been about earning my favor. You already have it. This has never been about proving your worth. I already declared it. You've been trying so hard to become someone you think will impress me. But here's the truth. I'm already impressed by the way you didn't quit, by the way you've longed to hear me, even when you doubted I was still speaking. You don't need to strive for my affection. You already have my heart. You don't have to fight for my attention. You've never left my sight. The world told you your value comes from results, from visibility, productivity, outcomes. But I'm here to remind you, your worth is not in what you do. It's in who you are to me. You are my child, my creation. My breath lives inside of you. My image is printed on your soul. That alone makes you valuable. That alone makes you enough. You are not a mistake trying to find meaning. You are a masterpiece being revealed, so come back to that truth. Let it settle where lies once lived. Let it uproot every false identity. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not less than. You are not invisible to me. You are mine. And that is enough. I know you feel the pressure to make something happen, to fix everything fast, to force the breakthrough. But I'm not calling you to hustle your way forward. I'm calling you to trust your way into alignment. You're not responsible for opening every door. That's my job. Yours is to stay close. If you only knew how close you are to what I've prepared, if you could see how I've been weaving the invisible pieces together while you cried through sleepless nights, if you understood how carefully I placed each delay, Each detour, each pause, you'd breathe deeper, you'd stop striving. You'd start expecting again, not expecting from fear, but from peace. This is not the end of your story. This is the turning point, and I'm not asking you to fake joy or pretend everything's fine. I'm simply inviting you to remember who you are and who I've always been. I'm inviting you to sit with me again, not for answers, but for presence. We'll meet you there, not as a distant God demanding perfection, but as your Father, steady, loving, near. You don't need to figure it all out. You don't have to fix every broken piece. Just bring me your heart. Let me carry the part of you that's tired of hoping. Let me hold the weight of all the questions you've dragged for far too long. You've been doing this in your strength, but now I'm inviting you into mine, and that is where the shift begins, not in effort, but in surrender. What's ahead of you is far greater than what's behind you. You're not walking into an ending, you're walking into a revealing. You are not forgotten. You are remembered in places beyond your reach. You are known in heaven, seen in silence, called by name. You are mine, and what's coming will prove it. You've asked me why it had to hurt the way it did. Why the path? I called you to walk, felt more like survival than purpose. Why I said I was near, yet the silence screamed louder than my promises. Why you had to lose what you loved. Why the people you trusted walked away. Why the ones you helped turned their backs. Why doors closed. Why your strength failed. Why the waiting never seemed to end. Let me speak clearly now. Not to justify myself, but to heal the misunderstanding that's wrapped around your heart like a rope of shame. The pain was never me abandoning you. The pain was me refining you. I do not delight in suffering, but I allow pressure where purpose must be revealed. You asked me to grow you. You begged me to use you. You cried out to be strong in faith, unshakable, unmovable, fully surrendered. I heard you, and I answered. Not with ease, but with opportunity, because real strength isn't built in the absence of resistance. It's born in the midst of it. I allowed pain to stretch you, because I knew what was inside you. I knew the calling you carry would crush you if your roots were shallow. I knew where I wanted to send you would require weight and integrity and spiritual clarity. The kind that storms can't bend. I wasn't trying to delay you. I was deepening you, and that kind of deepening doesn't come through comfort. It comes through surrender, the kind of surrender you never would have chosen on your own. I didn't stop the heartbreak, because that heartbreak disconnected you from places you were never meant to stay. I didn't remove the betrayal, because it revealed truths you were too blinded to see. I didn't prevent the collapse, because the collapse cleared the ground for something I'm building that no man will be able to take credit for. If I had made everything easy, you would have mistaken comfort for confirmation. You would have called it blessing, when in truth, it would have become a prison that kept you from me. The silence you hated wasn't abandonment. It was revelation. I was speaking, just not in the language you were used to. I was speaking through closed doors, through unanswered calls, through the ache in your chest, through broken plans and quiet rooms. I used the stillness to strip away every version of faith that was built on conditions. I was teaching you to stand when there was no visible reason. That kind of faith isn't weak, it's dangerous. It terrifies the enemy. That's why the pressure increased. Not because I was far away, but because you were getting close. You asked me why others seemed to succeed quickly, while you remained hidden. It's because I wasn't building a moment with you. I was building a mantle. Others were promoted in public, but you were being prepared in private. And what I'm preparing you for requires more than charisma, more than talent, more than exposure. It requires substance, and I've been forming that substance. In the cave, in the silence, in the betrayal, in the failure, in the places where your strength ended. and all you had left was me. You thought you were being forgotten, but you were being purified. Every time you were overlooked, I was breaking your dependency on human validation. Every time you were misunderstood, I was sharpening your discernment. Every time your expectations fell apart, I was strengthening your trust in what does not change: my word, my presence. My plan: look back, not with shame, but with clarity. You didn't break, you didn't lose me, and I never lost you. You walked through fire, and you weren't destroyed. You were refined. Now when the wind blows, you don't move like you used to. Now when lies try to take root, they don't grow like before. Now when distractions come, you see them for what they are. That didn't come from ease. It came from the very pain you begged me to take away. Don't despise the season that taught you how to hear my voice. Don't curse the process that trained your hands for battle. Don't regret the time that produced the depth you now carry. Yes, it cost you, but it also crowned you, and what I'm placing on you now: peace, wisdom, authority, clarity. It could not rest on the old version of you. It had to come here, through this road, through this pressure, through this pain. That's why I allowed it, not to break you, but to make you unshakable. And now the season of breaking is shifting. The deep work is done, and I will begin to restore what was torn, redeem what was lost, and reintroduce you, not as who you were, but as who you've become. A survivor, yes, but more than that, a vessel, a voice, a living sign of what my grace can do when everything else fails. You are not what you went through. You are what I pulled from it, and you have no idea what's coming. But you'll recognize its weight when it arrives, because pain taught you how to carry glory without pride, how to walk with favor without forgetting who you are, how to lead without needing to be seen. And that, my child, is why I allowed the pain, not to punish, but to prepare. Now we move forward. You've been watching the surface, waiting for a shift. You've been studying your surroundings, trying to find proof that something's finally changing. But let me show you what's really true. The shift already started. It just didn't begin in the natural. The earth responds to what's first decided in the spirit, and that's where I've been working. That's where everything has already begun turning in your favor. While you were wondering if your prayers made it past the ceiling, I was rearranging timelines behind the veil. While you were grieving what ended, I was activating what was waiting for your surrender. You don't need to force anything. I've already started the release. You're walking into the unfolding of promises I decided long ago would belong to you, not because you earned them, but because I covenanted them. The season you're entering isn't about waiting for me to move. I'm already moving. The question now is, will you recognize it when it shows up in a different form than what you imagined? Because the answer may not look like the picture you had in mind. The door might open in a direction you never planned. The provision may come through someone you didn't expect. The restoration you've been praying for might first require humility before it reveals my glory. But make no mistake, what I promised is coming. You've been faithful in the invisible. Now I will make visible what I've been building in secret. That includes clarity, unexpected favor, divine connections, opportunities that require no striving to enter, and a sense of alignment. So deep, you'll feel peace, even in the unknown. That's how you'll know it's from me. It won't come with confusion. It won't drain your soul. It will carry the weight of peace and the confirmation you don't have to manufacture. You've been asking me for signs, and I've been sending them, but you thought the signs had to be loud, dramatic, undeniable. Yet, often my signs are subtle, a sudden calm in the middle of your chaos, a shift in your desires, a name that keeps resurfacing in prayer, a restlessness that stirs not anxiety, but preparation, a dream that keeps returning, a whisper that something is closer than your senses can explain. These are not random. They are signals. They are invitations to awareness. I am not a god of confusion. I do not tease your hope. I confirm my direction. You've waited long enough thinking something would happen to you, but this next move will happen through you. I'm not just changing your atmosphere, I'm changing how you walk through it. You're not waiting for a move of God. You are a move of God. And the moment you embrace that, you'll begin to see doors that don't need keys, because they respond to identity. You don't need to fight for access. You need to carry the name I've given you with confidence. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are a carrier of divine purpose. Watch where I begin to stir discomfort, not to harm you, but to signal movement. Some things will start to feel too tight, not because you're failing, but because you're growing. Some connections will naturally fade, not because they're bad, but because they were only assigned to walk with you until this moment. Some opportunities will collapse because they were distractions disguised as open doors, and I won't let you waste your fire on counterfeit assignments. There will be moments that feel unfamiliar. Don't resist them. Unfamiliar doesn't mean unsafe. In fact, the unknown is often the clearest sign that you've left the cycles that once held you. I'm doing something new in you and with you. You're not repeating old seasons. This is a fresh release. You will no longer feel like you're trying to keep alive what I never breathed into. Instead, you'll begin to feel grace again. Real grace, the kind that makes heavy things feel light, the kind that multiplies your effort without exhausting your soul. You're not crazy for believing there's more. That's me, awakening your spirit to what I've already prepared. Your hunger is not your enemy. Your longing is not a weakness. These are holy signals. Pay attention. Pay attention to the patterns I keep repeating. Pay attention to what's quietly falling away. Pay attention to what keeps showing up. You're not imagining it. You're hearing me more clearly than you think. You just haven't always trusted that it's me. But now, I will begin confirming my word with signs around you, in conversations, in timing, in opportunities you didn't initiate, and it will humble you, not because you don't deserve it, but because you'll finally realize how much I've been working even when you stopped believing I was. You'll remember this season, not by the weight of your waiting, but by the shock of how suddenly everything started aligning. The promise is not just an idea, it's a reality, and it's closer than it feels. You will not finish this next stretch of your life the same way you entered it, because this is the season where I begin to reveal what the process was always preparing you for. You've heard my promises, you've felt the stirring, but now I'm asking you to go deeper than waiting for change. I'm asking you to live as if it's already begun. Because faith isn't just hoping something will happen one day. Faith is walking today as if the unseen is already true. Not pretending, not ignoring reality, but choosing to respond to my voice above your circumstances. This is where many get stuck. They believe in breakthrough, but live like victims. They sing about miracles, but plan for disappointment. They declare my promises, but make decisions rooted in fear. I'm calling you out of that cycle now. I'm calling you into alignment. You can't say you trust me while holding on to what I already told you to release. You can't ask for the new while protecting the old. You can't step into purpose while building your world around pain. Faith doesn't mean ignoring difficulty. It means not being defined by it. Faith is waking up in the same situation, but making a different choice. You begin to speak differently. You start showing up with expectation instead of survival. You stop letting your emotions set the direction. You no longer need evidence before you move. You move because I said it, and that becomes enough. Start speaking as if the shift has already begun. Stop rehearsing what went wrong. Stop repeating the narratives that keep you small. When you speak like a prisoner, you train your mind to stay in the cell, even after the door has been opened. That's why your language matters. Not because words are magic, but because they reveal what you truly believe. Are you speaking from Fear or from faith? Are you planning from trauma or from vision? Look at your habits. What are you feeding? What are you allowing to shape your mornings, your thoughts, your rest? This isn't about performance. It's about stewardship. What you feed grows. And I've placed something new inside you that can't survive on the diet of your past mindset. You're not just exiting a hard season. You're entering a holy one. But the new you can't be sustained by old rhythms. Make space in your time, in your thoughts, in your atmosphere. Start building a life that expects my movement. Wake up with intention. Create room for me to speak. Set aside distractions that blur your sensitivity. You're not too busy, you're just too tangled. Untangle what's been stealing your peace. Say no to what drains your spirit. Rebuild your yes around what fuels your clarity. Obedience will always cost you comfort, but it will never cost your peace. You'll know you're aligned with me when your soul feels clear, even if your path still feels uncertain. That's what I want for you, clarity, not control, and to walk. In that clarity, you must stop negotiating with what I already asked you to surrender. You've delayed certain decisions, not because you don't know what to do, but because obedience would require letting go of control. But growth always requires release. And what you're clinging to right now is not worth the future it's costing you. Your life is not waiting on me to speak again. I already have. Your life is waiting on you to move like it's true. You don't need another sign to believe. You need to activate what you already know. Take the next step, even if it's small, even if no one notices, even if it scares you, even if it costs you the approval of those who were never meant to go where I'm sending you. Don't let fear disguise itself as wisdom. Just because it's safe doesn't mean it's right. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's mine. I didn't call you to a convenient life. I called you to a surrendered one. And surrender looks like building, even when the ground still looks barren. It looks like preparing when there's no confirmation. It looks like trusting that I will fill the space you dare to open. Start preparing space for what you prayed for. Don't just hope for provision. Create the structure to receive it. Don't just ask for relationship. Become the kind of person who can sustain one. Don't just dream about influence. Build the character to carry it. I'm not withholding because you're unworthy. I'm waiting until you're ready to hold what I've already declared over you. You're not waiting on breakthrough. Breakthrough is waiting on obedience. And obedience isn't loud, it's consistent. It's private. It's the quiet yes when no one is watching. It's the decision to remain aligned when compromise feels easier. That's the kind of faith that opens doors. That's the kind of faith that moves heaven. That's the kind of faith I'm building in you right now. You don't have to feel ready. You just have to be willing. Willing to believe me again. Willing to build again. Willing to trust that what I spoke is more real than what you see. And when you live like that, when your choices match my promises, the atmosphere around your life will begin to shift. Not because you forced it, but because you finally aligned with it. This is how faith moves from theory to reality, and that's where you are now. You've been through so much that part of you began to shrink, not outwardly, but inwardly. The version of yourself that used to dream, to believe, to expect, has been buried beneath layers of survival. You stopped asking for more. Not because you stopped wanting it, but because you were tired of disappointment. You lowered your expectations, not out of wisdom, but out of protection. You're not broken. You're bruised. You're not weak. You're worn. And today, I'm not just speaking to your future. I'm resurrecting the truth of who you are, the truth that pain tried to bury. Let me say it clearly. You are not who the pain tried to turn you into. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not the echo of abandonment. You are not the label that fear tried to place on your soul. You are not too much. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are mine. That is your name. before any other identity had a chance to form around experience. That is who you've always been, chosen, known, called, set apart, for something far greater than your emotions can carry alone. You've carried shame that was never yours to hold. You've internalized words that I never spoke. You've looked at your reflection and only seen what's missing. But I see something else entirely. I see the fire that didn't burn out. I see the tenderness you protected even after betrayal. I see the loyalty you gave even when it cost you. I see how you didn't lose your heart, even when others mishandled it, and I honor that. I'm not ashamed of your story. I'm proud of your endurance. I'm proud of the way you didn't quit. Now it's time to break agreement with every lie you've made room for. You've accepted thoughts that I never planted. Somewhere along the journey, you started believing you were too late, too messed up, too far gone. But those are not my words. That's not my language. I speak life. I speak restoration. I speak identity, not shame. And now, I'm calling you back into alignment with truth. Not truth that bends with your circumstances, but truth that was spoken over you in eternity. The enemy didn't attack you so hard because you were weak. He came against you with force because you carry weight, because what's inside you has the power to unlock others, because your voice carries authority even when you whisper, because your life isn't just about survival, it's about legacy. And if he could convince you that you were small, unworthy, or broken beyond repair, then he could stop the ripple effect your obedience would create. But he failed. You're still here. You're still responding. You're still listening for me. And that alone is proof that the light in you is stronger than the darkness that tried to cover it. Now I want you to see yourself again, not through the lens of failure, comparison, or fatigue, but through the lens of who I created. Look at your heart. Look at how much you've grown in the secret place. Look at how wisdom now lives in your silence. Look at the strength you carry, even when you feel weak. You are not who you were a year ago. You're not even who you were a few months ago. There's been a transformation happening underneath the surface, and now I'm inviting you to acknowledge it. You've waited long enough for people to affirm you, for someone to see your worth, to validate your voice. But today I tell you, you don't need the stamp of man to walk in the identity I gave you. You are already validated by my hand. You are already affirmed by my word. You are already sealed by my spirit. You don't need permission to be who I called you to be. You only need agreement, and the moment you agree with my truth, your confidence will return, your clarity will sharpen, your boldness will rise, not from ego, but from alignment. I never stopped calling you, even when you walked through failure, even when you tried to disconnect, even when you said, I can't do this anymore. My call over your life was not revoked. I didn't cancel the anointing because you got tired. I didn't change my plan because you hit the wall. I factored in every moment of exhaustion, every doubt, every collapse of strength, and I still said, yes, I still choose you, and I always will. You are not in the background of my story. You are the focus of it. You are the one I've been speaking to, in dreams, in silence, in moments you thought were just your imagination. But that wasn't your imagination. That was your spirit remembering who it was always meant to be. And now is the time to come out of hiding. Now is the time to remember who you are. Not the version people tried to shape, but the one I formed before anyone had an opinion. This is the season where I restore your identity, not by erasing your past, but by reinterpreting it. Your scars are not proof that you failed. They are evidence that you healed. Your past is not a disqualification, it's a testimony, and every time you speak from what I brought you through, you carry power that shakes darkness. Don't be ashamed of your history. Bring it into the light, because when you do, shame loses its grip and freedom multiplies. You are not weak. You are weighty. You are not overlooked. You are under divine strategy. You are not unstable. You are being recalibrated. You are not finished. You are being revealed, and yes, the world will see it, but more importantly, so will you. You've received revelation, you've been encouraged, you've been reminded of who you are. Now, it's time to build the foundation that will sustain everything I'm bringing into your life, because a gift without preparation becomes a burden. And my desire is not just to bless you, but to establish you, to strengthen you, in a way that doesn't just create moments, but maturity. And for that, you need rhythm, you need consistency, you need spiritual order that can carry supernatural weight. Start with your mornings. The way you begin your day is not random. Before the noise enters, before the demands rise, I want to meet you, not just in emergencies, not just when you're overwhelmed. I want to be your first thought, your first conversation, your first breath of focus. Give me your mornings, even just a few minutes. Invite me into the space before the world has a chance to shape your thinking. You don't need to impress me with perfect prayers or fancy words. I want your honesty. I want your heart. Even your sighs can be prayers. When they come from a surrendered place, speak to me as you would with a trusted friend, but with reverence. This isn't about ritual. It's about alignment, and when you invite me into the start of your day, I'll shape how you interpret everything that comes after. I'll give you sensitivity to moments others overlook. I'll warn you when a distraction is disguised as opportunity. I'll give you grace to respond with peace instead of reacting in fear, but you must make room. That space won't create itself. You must protect it like something sacred. Because it is. Learn to sit in silence with me, not just to speak, but to hear, to feel my presence, to let your heart soften again. In a world of noise and constant movement, silence is not wasted time. It is restoration. I will whisper in silence what shouting could never make clear. I will bring peace in stillness that no productivity could ever produce. You need quiet. Not just for your mind, but for your spirit to breathe again. Don't be afraid of silence. I am in it. Return to my word, not as obligation, but as oxygen. Scripture is not just information, it is impartation. It strengthens the parts of you that don't yet have language. It reveals what I've already written about you. It aligns your thoughts with truth that does not shift with emotion. You've spent enough time letting your feelings lead your faith. Now it's time to let truth lead your feelings. Start small. Don't chase quantity. Seek consistency. Even a few verses a day, read with a surrendered heart, will do more in you than hours of distracted study. And don't just read, respond. Let my words become the lens through which you see your life. Write them down. Pray them. Out loud, declare them over your atmosphere. Let them form your language when you don't know what to say. My word is living. It will not return empty. It will continue working in you long after the moment you read it has passed. And as you build your time with me, I want you to begin watching how you make your daily decisions. Faith is not just what you do in prayer. It's how you handle interruptions. How you speak when no one is listening, how you respond to offense, how you steward opportunities. Begin asking me what to say before speaking. Ask me what to see before reacting. I will train your discernment. Through the little things, through traffic, through delays, through conversations that test your grace. These aren't distractions. They are assignments. I am forming patience. I am increasing compassion. I am building character that can carry calling. Pay attention to your atmosphere. What you listen to, what you watch, what you expose your soul to. These things shape you more than you realize. I'm not calling you to legalism. I'm calling you to sensitivity. There are things that once felt fine that now won't sit right in your spirit. That's not guilt. That's growth. That's maturity. That's your spirit. Awakening, trust that. Respond to it. The more sensitive you become to my voice, the more authority you'll walk in, without even trying. Surround yourself with people who stir your faith, not your fears. Choose voices that challenge your comfort zone. Stay near those who carry oil, not just charisma. I will connect you to the right people in the right season, but you must be willing to walk away from what no longer carries alignment. Some relationships were only meant to walk with the version of you that existed. In your last season, let me decide who stays. Your job is obedience. Mine is multiplication. And lastly, don't underestimate the power of simple obedience. When I nudge you to pray for someone, do it. When I prompt you to release something, let it go. When I speak through conviction, respond without delay. The ones who see my movement the clearest are rarely the most gifted. They're simply the most surrendered. That is what I'm building in you, a lifestyle of faith, a posture of expectancy, a spirit that says yes before it sees. This is not about perfection, it's about devotion. If you stay near, I will do in you what no amount of effort could produce, and you will not just witness my promises, you will carry my presence. Listen closely. This is not just a message of comfort. It is a prophetic announcement. You have stepped into a new dimension of time, even if your surroundings haven't caught up yet. What shifted in the spirit will soon begin to manifest around you. What was hidden will be revealed. What was delayed will be released, and what was broken will be rebuilt, not by your striving, but by my hand. You have entered a moment of divine acceleration, and it won't look like chaos. It will look like clarity. You'll feel it in your spirit before you see it in the natural, that subtle sense that something is close, that peace that doesn't match your surroundings, that sudden opportunity that feels too precise to be coincidence. These are not small things. They are signs. I'm beginning to pull back the veil, not just around your circumstances, but around your calling. What I placed in you years ago is awakening. Even the parts you gave up on, even the gifts you buried, even the dreams you called too late, too broken, too far gone. I'm bringing them back to life, not in their old form, but in their refined state. You had to go through everything you did so that when this moment arrived, you could carry it with humility. You are not the same person who once begged for breakthrough. You are now the one who can steward it. Get ready. I'm about to restore in ways you never expected. There are people who will re-enter your life, not to bring pain, but to bring closure and healing. There are resources about to be unlocked, not through manipulation or striving, but through divine timing. There are opportunities that will find. You date not because you chase them, but because you obeyed me when no one was watching. Favor is chasing you now, not because you demanded it, but because you endured in hiddenness. And yes, some things will leave. Some doors will close right before new ones open. Don't panic, don't go back, don't beg for what I've already released you from to stay. I'm not just bringing change, I'm bringing alignment, and that means certain things cannot stay. Attached to the version of you I'm now revealing, the season of proving yourself is over. The time of carrying people who refuse to grow has expired. I'm moving you forward with purpose. What you're stepping into next requires focus, not apology. Your name is being spoken in places you haven't even entered yet. Your presence is being prepared for spaces you once thought were unreachable, and it won't happen by force. It will happen by confirmation. I'm placing your feet on the ground I've already prepared for you. You'll know it's me, because it won't require striving. It won't require self-promotion. It will come with peace. It will come with clarity that you won't be able to deny. And when it comes, don't shrink back. Don't disqualify yourself. Don't say, this is too much for me. I decide what you're ready for, and if it's showing up now, it means your capacity has caught up to your calling. Walk in it, speak from it, move with it. Stop asking if you're enough. You were never meant to be enough without me, but with me, You lack nothing. I have seen your private worship. I've heard your secret prayers. I've counted your unseen sacrifices. None of it is lost, none of it forgotten. And now I respond, not just with comfort, but with commissioning. You are not being repaired, you are being released. This is the moment you'll look back on and say, everything changed here, not because of a stage, not because of applause, but because you aligned your heart with mine in secret, and I reward what happens in secret with power that no one can take. This is the hour of recognition, not by man, but by heaven. This is the hour of restoration, of divine return. This is the hour where the time you thought you lost begins to produce what no other season could yield. You are not behind, you are not forgotten, you are not disqualified, you are chosen for this, for now, for what comes next.